For what I'd done, I boiled her too.
The story of the fact you were capable of such shows of emotion. Such a show of emotion. You have that little control over yourself? You're simply dangerous. Sorcerer's power are truly dangerous. I hope you have mastered your abilities
When I
since then.
arrived on Holy Terror and was tested, I was found to be suitable material for becoming a sanctioned psyker, able to bend his curse to his own will. I can assure you that the adepts of the Astra Telepathica were right in their assessment.
Tell me about the black ship.
Picture a vast prison ship filled with frightened, angry psychers who can't control their abilities and who have just lost their homes and their families. Some of them were children and adolescents like I was. Some were monstrous creatures who no longer had the right to be called human, or psychopaths who reveled in their impure powers. Once, when one of the miscreants broke free, those in command simply depressurized the bay and got rid of the culprit, along with the prisoners and crew tainted by him. But even after that, I heard the echo of inhuman suffering and terror that filled that part of the ship. It grieves me to recall that episode to this day.
You were sent to the Inquisition straight after training?
No. First, I was accorded the status of a psyker fit for service in the Imperial Guard, where I then spent several years. It was only afterward that I became an agent of the Golden Throne.
How long have you served in the Inquisition?
Since the day of my initiation as an acolyte. So, decades. How many real years it's been, it's hard to say. When I return from a journey through the warp, I often discover that much more or much less time has passed in real space.
Many worlds during your service.
Indeed. I have visited many of the places brought to the Emperor's light, and those sullied by the filth of the archenemy. In truth, even after all these years spent visiting the various corners of the Imperium and looking beyond its borders, I still consider the Segmentum Solar to be the greatest of all humanity's bastions. Nothing compares to the majesty of Holy Terror, the might of Mars, the grandeur of the Segment's other worlds.
You're looking young.
The first step for
Yep.
biomancers such as myself is to take control of the processes of their own body, including aging. I've endured innumerable hazards in my work. If I allowed every trace of them to remain, I would look completely different today.
What duties have you been carrying
You
out?
can't really be expecting me to answer that question, can you?
Yeah. Let's change the
Gladly.
subject. You are not the Inquisitor's only acolyte, correct?
Of course not. The Lord Inquisitor's entourage comprises dozens of people. The best of the best. Experts in various fields and disciplines. Some of them I know personally. Others I have never met. To be honest, I'm not even certain that the people I know are still alive. I used to work with other acolytes of the Lord Inquisitor, but in the Coronis Expanse, I've been working alone.
Wandering among the stars without family or friends, did you get lonely?
I rarely have the time or the opportunity to think about it.
If you're an interrogator, does that mean you hold a special position in the retinue?
We are not a retinue. We are acolytes. As for your question, I am closer than anyone else to the one I call my personal teacher. The Lord Inquisitor deemed me worthy of undertaking the most important and sensitive tasks requiring the attention of agents of the Golden Throne.
Are there other acolytes in the Coroner's Expanse? The interrogator narrows his eyes at you and releases a disappointed sigh. After several seconds of silence, you realize that you will not be getting an answer.
Such as?
Cult of the Final Dawn, when you could tell me about it.
The cult's ordinary members are humans who have been corrupted by the archenemy, traitors to the Imperium, and accomplices of chaos. Participation in the cult's rituals always entails brainwashing, literally and figuratively. The longer cult members spend among other cultists, the less critically they think, and the more closely they resemble obedient livestock, stripped of their fear and instinct for self-preservation. The worst of them go to their deaths without an inkling of doubt, ready to take hundreds and thousands of souls with them. As for those at the top of the cult's hierarchy, we have not yet managed to get a lead on all of the cult's leaders. I imagine that some of them are hiding in the depths of the Coronis Expanse, but those who are orchestrating the fanatics on nearby worlds are hiding very well indeed, or receiving protection from above.
What is your mission regarding the
I
cult?
need to confirm the reports from my agents. According to them, one of the cult's leaders is in the Kiava Gamma segment, an industrial world within the dominion of the Von Valancius dynasty. I hope you won't impede my investigation.
No, I won't. You seem to have been investigating this cult for some time.
We discovered the first traces of it as soon as we arrived in the Coronis Expanse. Since then, the more we learn, the better we see just how far the roots of this blight extend. Destroying individual cells is pointless. We must cut this beast off at its head.
What do you mean, protection from above?
Governors, commanders, rogue traders. History is full of those who neglect their duty to the Golden Throne and seek allies in the wrong places.
True.
As you wish.
What can you do as a psych around in position to take care of Idira? Rid me of her. Need to lead my retinue, I must take my lead. You wanted to discuss the nature of your mission.
Yes, but not here. I wouldn't want our conversation to be gossip fodder on the bridge and in the officers' mess.
Why? Why, Owlcat? Why? Heinrich nods slightly. Thank you for finding an opportunity to talk. I trust now would be a good time to explain the reason for my return aboard your ship. The chance to assist the Inquisitor with this inquiries, Von Kellogg's. Lord Captain, your enthusiasm is commendable. The interrogator smiles, but his eyes remain cold. To business then. The cult of the Final Dawn. The madmen preach their heretical doctrine among the denizens of the Coronis Expanse and instigate crimes against the throne of humanity. One such crime took place in your protectorate. The Lord Inquisitor considered it necessary to have one of his acolytes accompany the rogue traitor on the voyage into the corrupted region. I also need to meet with one of my observers on the capital world of your domain. Mentioned in his letter that he is willing to show lenience toward my actions that would otherwise be interpreted as a radical. That is correct. I should show greater tolerance for the mistakes of the newly appointed rogue trader, so I can be a heretic. To be frank, I am surprised. The Lord Inquisitor is not the type to indulge the weakness of soul and mind, even in someone who only recently accepted the burden of a lofty title. I would order Zero SA agents investigate a chaos cult. You are well versed in how the Inquisition is organized. Yes, initially our arrival in the Coronis Expanse was dictated by the need to fight Xenos. But there is more. The cult is tangentially related to my main specialization. Perhaps I will be able to reveal the full truth someday, but right now I ask you to display humility and patience. You have spies on the Von Valancius worlds? The person I mentioned is not a spy, but a secretary in the administratum department on Dargonus. So the spy. The planet's governor and Theodora were fully aware of his status. Okay. His duty is to fulfill the sacred oath of to the Golden Throne and eliminate threats to the Imperium, which the Coronus Expanse has in abundance. His name is Achilles Scalander. As soon as we contact Dargonus, I will introduce you as the new head of the dynasty. I'm sure you will appreciate the presence of such an advisor among your subjects, and I suggest you heed these words at last occasionally. Cult. I want to know more about the Cult of the Final Dawn. Chaos worshippers, most often agents of the throne, run into lone renegades stirring up the rabble. Insane prophets and heretic visionaries preaching the end of days. A passing comet, a mutant rebellion, an onslaught of monsters. Each time they came up with a new reason why people should prostrate themselves and quiver in fear. Much effort and the blood of those loyal to the Golden Throne were spent before we established the connection between those heretics. However, the cult of the Final Dawn is something greater than a gaggle of misguided seers and fortune-tellers. They cleverly spread their agents all over the Coronus Expanse, disseminating heresy among honest people on the Imperial worlds. There is a certain strategy to their action that changes whenever we get too close, and finally they have enough military power to have had the 2 ships that we had sent after them late discovered as wreckage. The growing difficulty is making warp jumps is detrimental to us, but is unlikely to inconvenience those who engage in vile sorcery day in and day out. After the events on Riked Minoris, I suspected the cult might have built its nest inside Winterscale's domain, but the latest reports indicate it is your protectorate that is harboring heretics. Being in your entourage improves my chances of getting closer to their secrets. The 4th. The rogue trader should deliver me to the system that contains the industrial world of Kiava Gamma. I will then accompany you to the surface and determine what the cult is planning and how it intends to use the resources that have fallen into their clutches, which may very well include the blessed engines of the Adeptus Mechanicus and even the followers of the Omnissiah themselves. I will be frank, the answer to this question is unlikely to please either of us. The machinations of chaos usually go beyond solely inflicting countless deaths and destruction. Having their plans come out fruition would lead to far more terrible consequences. One of the systems in Coronus Expanse is already lost. May the Emperor protect us from watching this tragedy play out again. Has fallen to heresy. What then? Will you again purposely destroy entire planets? Stares you down. On Riked Minoris you made a decision that sent billions of souls into the grasp of arch-enemy. An unreasonable and unforgettably high price for a small handful of people saved by your mercy. Do I consider it a worthy exchange? I most certainly do not. Will I make every effort to make sure such an exchange does not happen again? Of course I will. Sentimentality is a luxury I cannot afford. You lack compassion. You did not stop me after all, although you certainly could have tried to. The interrogator's eyes narrow. I haven't said I would not like to be able to afford such luxury. In fact, deep down, I understand why you acted that way. I have yet to eliminate the understanding and acceptance within myself, but I will. Why did your suspicion fall on Kiavagama? Disjointed pieces of data that finally merged into a single picture. Additionally, not long ago, a vessel from that world arrived on Footfall. The reports from the crew were confused and alarming, making me fear a planet-wide rebellion. Do we risk running into his brothers? I have no doubt it will happen sooner or later. Chaos Marines siding with the cult is very, very bad news. Most likely they kept away until recently, pulling their puppets' strings from a respectable distance. These traitors seldom show up alone. The best we can count on is having to deal with just a squad of Chaos Space Marines in the Coronos Expanse and not an entire company. Even the squad could squash us. I won't let anyone throw their weight around on my worlds, be they servant of chaos, Xenos or heretics. Blah blah blah. There is enough discussion about the archenemy servants. Tell me about the Drukhari, who stole Ryket's son. The Drukhari, one of the branches of the Eldari, an ancient and vicious Xenos race. Those creatures are a living terror to ordinary people who fall prey to their raids, for the simple reason that the victims are not killed outright, but instead become their playthings. Just as you and I need air to survive, the Drukhari require psychic energy, born from torment and pain, which they extract from their captives with uncanny expertise. Their ships, which are difficult to mistake for any other, arrive suddenly and undetected. Their stealth technologies greatly surpass the capabilities of standard Imperium Augur arrays. The objective of the raids is never to capture a world or a ship. No, they are only interested in fresh victims. After filling their holds with living captives, they disappear into a webway, a different dimension which conceals their greatest stronghold. Pomora, the dark city of the Drukhari, from which none can hope to escape. Heinrich studies your expression. I do not know why the Drukhari stole Ryket's son and brought about the fulfillment to the cult's prophecies. Perhaps the Xenos themselves have played into the archenemy's design, or perhaps Aurora's divination in fact described the Drukhari's action. There is only one thing I can say with absolute certainty. There is no alliance between the cult of the Final Dawn and the Xenos. It is simply impossible. I must go about my business. Is there anything else I need to know? Let us depart from business matters. Heinrich, you once promised to entertain me with a compelling conversation. I won't let anyone know. Throw their weight around on my worlds. Well, okay, I must go to my business. Let me put it this way. You may think whatever you want of me, but my goal is not to hinder you. I am here to help you in the fight against foes you may not be even aware of. You have my word that I will provide every assistance in uprooting the heresy that has sprouted on the Von Valencius worlds while their master was away, and that I will try to be more patient with the less grievous flaws the bearers of the warrant are sometimes known to have. Thank you for sparing the time, Lord Captain. Familiar has its own maintenance station located on the flagship. And in your residence on Dargonus, Through corresponding upgrade kits, those stations can give up to 3 levels of improvement. The upgrades are permanent, so even if you decide to change your archetype, thus changing your familiar, the station remains improved. So, how I can improve my station? What am I supposed to do in this? Before mission, Heinrich must make his way to the industrial world. Sargona's ship is hiding in the Murnos. Lucrative opportunity. Classified information. The rogue trader's cogitator on the bridge once belonged to Theodora von Valencius. Pascal is sure that it can be used to decrypt to discover its data bank. Okay, how I can upgrade. Pet the dog. Pet the dog. Leave. Okay. Link the account. Just ban this crap. Yes. Perform the ablution. The soothing water caresses your senses, and your grateful muscles welcome the chance to rest. A pleasant languor spreads through your body as you allow yourself a moment of quiet relaxation. I wish to see someone from my retinue. You two get in here, I require company and pleasant conversation. Relax and close your eyes. The tension slowly retreats as you bring yourself to complete stillness, joint by joint, muscle by muscle, pore by pore. Before long, you have surrendered the bastion of your body to the bliss of oblivion. Troubles, worries, loss, such things do not belong in this newly established dominion of tranquility. There are only the infinite waters of weightlessness in which, stripped of all things superficial, the mind of Oscar von Valencius drifts in a silent bliss. Is the conscious mind what fills this consciousness? Thoughts about the price for power, the inconstant path through which such power is obtained. The cost of power is great, but when it comes to accomplishing one's dreams, one price is too high. Finish your ablution. You feel revitalized. This was truly an experience worth a rogue trader. And with that, I am ending my well-deserved rest. Oh! Have a high initiative in the next combat. This is one-time bonus that disappears after the combat ends. You feel thoroughly refreshed and ready to take on new challenges. So yeah, we will finish it in here for today. Thank you for your time, and see you tomorrow. 11 ETC, 11:30 ETC, something like this, or maybe even like today at midnight. We will see us. I will see you later. Have a great day, have a great night.